So Nate Mcmillan is out as the Pacers coach. The fact that they gave him an extension right before the playoffs was a little weird. The thing with Nate is he's not the worst coach in the NBA, but he's not in the top 10, 15, 20%, whatever you want to say. He's just in the middle. He was a mediocre coach. I think you can put him into the same category of like Scott Brooks or Dwayne Casey or Mike Malone, just these coaches that are cool, but they're not championship level creative minds like Nick Nurse or Eric Spoelstra or whoever. You know what I mean? So I think it's fair to want to go in a different direction if you're Indiana. Now the big question becomes, of course, who is the new coach? And I think this is always a huge decision for every team. But I think for Indiana, it could be especially big because they're a team that I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if there was a stylistic shift with them. I mean, for one, there's already been a rumor that Mike D'Antoni would be a candidate if he gets fired from the Rockets. And if D'Antoni is in here, you have to assume there's not going to be two bigs playing at the same time. And there would also be a lot more three-point attempts. I mean, the Pacers have been at the bottom of the league for years in three-point attempts per game. And I'm not against the idea that this Pacers team needs a big shift in the way they play. Now, it should be said they didn't have Sabonis in round one. Oladipo has been dealing with injuries. Maybe this upcoming season we can finally see a healthy Victor Oladipo once again with Brogdon and TJ, and you might try the two big thing out more, I don't know. But maybe there's a chance that the Pacers would say to themselves, you know what, we like Sabonis, we like Turner, but maybe it's time to come to a decision and put four shooters out there. I mean, Turner can kind of shoot, but you know what I mean. And we have one big guy, and we kind of just join the rest of the NBA with that. Now, I'm not saying they have to do that. I mean, Turner and Sabonis are two good bigs who were at least good defensively for Indiana this season. Their offense together wasn't too good. I think it was like a 105 offensive rating with those two. And Miles has been shooting more threes. So there's a chance that a new coach would encourage Miles to just take even more threes, which I feel like is kind of the way to really unlock this team besides Oladipo being healthy. But at the same time, just the firing of Mcmillan makes me think this Pacers front office is just a little more on edge, I guess. Because once they extended Mcmillan, I thought, and so did every Pacers fan that I could find on the internet, basically thought, well, this front office is fine with just running the team that we got out there again. Maybe we make the second round, and that's kind of it. Whereas now, I think this says, no, we're willing to roll the dice a little bit, which I think is good. You got a lot of good players. Once again, you think Oladipo's coming back healthy, and maybe now you can just get a coach who maximizes those guys more while hopefully maintaining the defense. I mean, if you look at the Pacers in three-point attempts, this year they were 30th. Last year they were 29th. The year before that they were 26th. And I think that's somewhere you can look at immediately, which is just simply more three-point shots. Now again, do you need to go to one big guy in order to really do that? Well, potentially, but I mean, listen, these are the decisions you got to make sometimes, and I didn't think they were going to make it looking at the Mcmillan extension, but maybe now. I mean, my gut feeling tells me they'll at least give Turner and Sabonis a chance next season, but if they think it's time to just go one big, then I think they'll do it. Which, again, is something that I did not think before this. The other thing could also just be more creative offense besides just pick and rolls, ISOs, or handoff plays, like simple handoff plays. I mean, even if it's something as simple as just like a guy comes off of an off-ball screen and then he gets into a pick and roll, like even that is more creative than what the Pacers were doing a lot of the time, you know? Now, as I say with all of these, and as I also acknowledge with all of these, Kenny Atkinson, yeah. D'Antoni has been mentioned, that's interesting. Besides that, I don't know a lot about the assistants around the NBA, so we'll just have to see. They're going to do a more thorough search than I will. I think we should also talk about the Oladipo situation, because it is really interesting. I mean, he's on the last year of his contract. They've already had some negotiations that didn't go too well. I don't think there's any animosity there, but I mean, there's not a contract extension agreed upon yet, so there's that. And, you know, from Oladipo's perspective, he's probably thinking, well, I can be that guy again, just, you know, give me the opportunity. Whereas the Pacers are like, well, hold on now. You're 29. You've dealt with injuries past 2 seasons. We really don't want to give you like $35 million a year. And what the Pacers would probably want to do is just take this into next season and see how Oladipo plays. But Oladipo could look at that as being disrespectful because they don't trust him like that, but they're just making the smart business move. And I think this firing of Mcmillan is a little bit of the Pacers acknowledging the need for them to make a big jump right now to convince Oladipo to stay. Because, if Oladipo was gone in 2022, he could end up getting traded. That's, of course, a possibility as well. But, if he was actually to leave, do we think the Pacers would be a free agent destination like that? I don't think they think of themselves that way. Of course, we saw Paul George want out of there, and I can't think of a big free agent that they've signed. They got Brogdon. That was a good move, but that's kind of what they need to be about, making those good, smart moves that in the moment look like a little bit of an overpay, but then when the guy's actually on the team, you're like, oh, that was totally fine. They sniped TJ Warren from the Suns, so they may view Oladipo as their one chance to have a star player like that. And again, I don't think this was the only reason they fired Mcmillan, but I think this was them just being like, we really need next season to go well, and maybe better than just 45 wins to make sure Oladipo stays. Now, if he's not the same guy, they could move him, but I don't think they want to move him. I think they want to give him as much time as possible to get back to what he was, because chances are, even if he's in a move, you're not going to get this, or when I say this, I mean the 2018 Oladipo back, because if they want to trade him, that means he's probably not playing that great. He's maybe giving him 18 points a game, and he's just not that guy. Now, as far as other little random things, the Pacers do not have their draft pick this year, and that's tough. For a 45-win team, even if you're changing coaches and hoping Oladipo can be back and stuff, it's usually pretty crucial that you have your picks when you're in the middle of the pack like that. But that did get them Brogdon, so I think overall you'll take it. I guess I can go into more detail about the Turner-Sabonis thing now, because everything else I can't really think of what you do. Like, McDermott's under contract for another year. Lamb is here for 2 years. TJ is here for a couple more years on a good contract. Do we care about what they do with TJ McConnell's non-guaranteed? Maybe a little bit, but the team's just kind of locked in place besides the Turner-Sabonis decision and now this new coach. So, I guess Justin Holiday's a free agent. They might need to keep him. So, if you force me to pick between Turner and Sabonis, I would probably keep Sabonis, but a part of me still doesn't really know, because I am kind of scared of the idea that if Turner's not on this team, that they'd be bad on defense. Now, of course, a new coach could, have Sabonis playing better D. They could have Miles Turner shooting more threes. Turner, of course, just attempted more threes this year, so there's a chance that he would just continue that next season. Like, there's reason to believe these two can work, and that would honestly be my real first decision, is just give these two more time. But because we love spitball and trades, I feel like the Kings would want Miles Turner if he became really available. Miles Turner for Harrison Barnes, it's not an exciting move, but it's kind of there. Who's an exciting team for Domantas Sabonis? The Warriors would be. You want to do the second pick for Sabonis? That won't happen, because I don't think either one of these guys are going to get traded within the next couple of months. So maybe the Nets, if they weren't all in on DeAndre Jordan or Jared Allen. How do you feel about Karis LeVert for Domantas Sabonis? Who knows? I got nothing else. But yeah, the reason I even think about that is because, I just assume that because they fired McMillan, this type of thing becomes a little more possible. Whereas before, I just felt like they were not even going to think about rocking the boat too much. But I think this firing is the Pacers front office acknowledging it's probably good to rock the boat sometimes.